Everyone, this is the Villains Man. I'm JVD.
And I'm Smiley. Today we're speaking about monster challenge ratings and encounters.
And as we've kind of talked about this, as a DM, I don't use that to a very high degree.
I feel that no one uses the challenge ratings very much because the challenge rating system of this edition is very poorly designed.
Carry on.
For example, they say the challenge rating is what a party of 4 players should fight. And I agree with that.
If you in your terms out there, yes, I agree, and that's when we decided to do this as a video. I'm just going to start out, and I don't base my monster encounters for anybody I run based on a challenge rating or an encounter rating, which I don't think you really get any of those anymore in 5th edition.
No, they don't really.
And it's very big in like 3.5 in Pathfinder.
Well, you do. The encounter rating now is a challenge rating for the entire encounter based on the number of monsters you have.
Yes.
Where I find where the challenge rating really falls off is when you're using multiple monsters.
Yes, I agree.
Because it also depends on the party too, which makes sense. Because if you have the ability to do a lot of AoE damage, those multiple monsters don't mean very much.
Yes, see, and that's what I base my challenge ratings off of, is what my party is capable of doing. My challenge ratings will change on 2 things. If I have a paladin in my party, and if I have more than one arcane spellcaster.
What I actually go by is I pay attention to how much damage everyone can deal on a given adventure. And I actually have like notes on the actual average damage any player can deal at any given time.
That's what I do.
Weird.
You guys don't see it, but when I'm down there in initiative, I'm like, oh, Richard's done 36, Richard's done 40, and 32. So 36 is a pretty good average of a round. And then, like, since I'm going on, because when you were playing Ord, and then, as I said, it depends on what else I got. Well, I had 1 paladin, and then I got 2 paladins.
Yeah.
So, that, like, when you guys went to fight Cloud Chaser, the White Dragon, that's when I was like, yeah, they are so ready for this. And he's like a CR 13, and you guys are nowhere near it.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing. He wound up knocking 1 paladin. He knocked like 2 of you guys right out of the fight, and you guys were still able to beat him. So, yeah, that's how I judge my challenges, is what my party is capable of. Now, to a degree, because based on the criteria I gave myself, I think that if I have 4 level 8 characters, 1 of them is a paladin, and 2 of them is, say, one's a sorcerer, one's a wizard. Yeah. I think that you could probably take on a CR 12 if your team does really good.
I feel it'll be a very micromanaging fight.
Yes.
And you might have to moderate how much damage the monster itself puts out due to the low hit die of the 2 sorcerer and the wizard.
Yes. But here's my thing, though. Most of the time, they are not going to be in up front.
Yeah.
And your opening volleys are probably going to be a fireball, a lightning bolt, and 8th level paladin's got 2 attacks, so you're expecting 2 smites.
I would actually open out with light that does 8d8 if you're someone that's 1 creature.
Well, but what I'm saying is you're still dealing 8 some odd damage of dice.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, when I'm planning that, is that dragon is going to have the lowest dexterity score, so most likely he is going to go last or second to last. On average.
Yeah.
So by how I design that is, it looks frightening to you guys when you're fighting it, and then you hit it for enough damage that it's going to equal it out before it makes its way to you.
Yeah.
So that's how I base mine. And with the challenge ratings in the books for monsters, especially for like dragons, is the fact that their breath weapon is now I would say harder to get than what it used to be.
It actually was like 1d4 plus 1 rounds.
Yeah, but now it's you got to try. You have a chance of trying to get it every round. Which I've been in an encounter, the last dragon encounter I was in, which was oddly a white one. But we've been speaking of. You guys breath weapon once. But see, as characters, and this is another thing. Now that we're bringing this up, is we're smart enough that we're big on story. What your character knows. We were smart to spread out. really makes a dragon.
Every dragon story has a dragon breathing something.
Exactly. And even as a character, you hear stuff like that in the game, like you're sitting in a tavern, Bard's telling a story about a dragon, or the paladin and his group fight this dragon. So you, as a character, know to spread out. Which breath weapon, you might get 2 people depending on the battleground. I also shape my challenge ratings. Or counter ratings, whichever you would prefer. Also around the environment, which you can check out our video over battlegrounds and whatnot for monster fights that we've already covered, and that really affects it too, because in that type of fight, a weaker monster CR than what the characters are can become very, very effective. For instance, a air elemental in a 20x20 room
filled with gold coins.
Yes. Because, what is it? Is it a dexterity save against its whirlwind or whatever it is?
I think it's like strength or con.
Okay, well, if I've got a bunch of spellcasters, they're kind of screwed.
That's kind of what happened to Riker. Yeah, exactly. Against the wall, almost blinded.
Yeah. So, and even when you guys fought that, actually, you were its level. So for what it was, because it wasn't an air elemental.
Was it an invisible stalker?
No, it was something much worse. You guys made the right decision on running on that one.
It was a gin.
but to be fair, challenge ratings, it's kind of funny that we brought that up, is you guys fought a CR 24 blue dragon.
Yes.
Before that.
At level fucking 15, if I remember right.
But what did you do? To even that up?
We made a deal, couldn't use the Slayer actions.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't use its breath weapon, if I'm right.
That was not part of the deal.
Was it not? Okay.
It actually hit Riker with his breath weapon, but he was resistant to it.
That's very, very true. So see, that right there makes a huge difference in a challenge encounter, because I tend to go with the flow of the game, but based on story, your story, because you were playing Riker, you made the challenge knowing how the dragon was, and it worked to your advantage. So technically, it brings the CR of the creature down. So, as a DM, don't be afraid to throw something out weaker or stronger, because based on environment or how the game plays out, it can change very drastically.
And that was a fun fight. That's the only time I ever got to counterspell.
Yeah.
Imrith is a very good example, because would you ever, if you read it on paper, level 15 players versus CR24 dragon, it sounds fucking ridiculous.
Yes.
And you just have to know your party, and you realize that the ridiculous is very possible. Like level 6 characters in my game fighting CR10s, which has happened several times now.
Yeah. Or, and to just to carry on with the Ancient Roarborn, which you can find on our YouTube channel, 150 episodes. For instance, you were level 17 when you went to the temple, am I right? Yes. 17, 18? When Evan fought Pyridnoth, he basically fought her by herself. Luda did.
Except we had 2 fire giants.
Yes. Well, but they weren't doing nowhere near what she was doing, though.
It was like, but they were soaking up some of the hits.
Yes. And so, that helped.
I think I got 3 attacks off that entire thing, I was frightened for the entire combat.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. I even get, because I will give my dragons a damage reduction at a high level. And he was just beating the snot out of it. So, and even with that, because I remember I kept track of the damage he was doing and the damage it was taking based on its damage reduction of 10, that nothing was bypassing. And the output of Luda was way more than what it was doing just with its claws, its teeth, and its tail. It was insane. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that, add up to that.
With all them smites.
Yes. Paladin. Oh, man, 5e.
But he blew almost all of us. We had almost nothing on that last fight, though.
Nope. And
but that's why.
But now, continuing on with challenge ratings. Yeah. It's funny how but that's what I wanted. Because here's the thing, what you were fighting was so much lower level than you, but all your abilities and spells were exhausted. Yeah. It took a small encounter rating and made it very challenging for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very dramatic fight.
Oh, yeah.
So I designed it that way. So it's kind of funny how all this played off on all this. And we're just going to do this one on the fly, and look how well that worked out. We're 2 for 2.
Winning.
Gotcha. Anything else you like to add to encounter? I've been blabbing on here, but it just was a chain reaction there once we got to talk.
Based on your party, always, like, you have to know what your party can and cannot do. I prefer using smaller, weaker encounters that could build confidence to yet waste resources at the same time. And then throw in something big that they go, oh, fuck to.
Yes.
Like, for example, Goths and Goblins leading up to a Demons and a Drider in the basement. But a lot of small things that you can easily handle, but yeah, I know my players will waste resources on. I think you're the only one that actually kept anything throughout that entire thing.
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah,
that's just how my character is. He tries to stay resourceful.
Because they had like almost no spells going to fight the Drider fight.
Yes.
And then threw smites around like crazy upstairs. And then immediately afterwards, let's attack the Drow house.
Hey, so now that you brought that up, and I was going to say it anyways, that's another thing that might change the CR of a fight is you gave me this ability to summon so much legions of hell.
And I actually played that in. I was trying to poke you and prod you into doing that throughout that.
Yes, I knew you were, but I was waiting. I was waiting for the right time.
Like, because when you said you're using it, I already have what you get picked out.
And that's the thing. Just stuff like that really will change the challenge during the fight, because if you give a character a loaded gun and you're like, I know they're going to fire it off and waste it all, and they don't, as a DM, that's when you have to start planning for an encounter.
Exactly.
So, for instance, I set up back in the old D20 system, I made a Resident Evil campaign. Had a lot of fun. Based it in town, mapped out a bunch of stuff in town where Umbrella Corp was at the local hospital, all this other stuff. And I gave one of the players a RPG, because in Resident Evil, you gotta have your RPG. I love RE. And the thing was, like, I had this. I'm gonna blab on here, but because I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man. The head scientist, was making bioweapons off of Spider-Man villains. Like, they found all these.
Amazing.
Well, no, and it was kind of like a thing for one of my friends, because I laid all these issues out, and he's like, "What are they?" I'm like, "One's Amazing Spider-Man, like 41." He's like, "Oh, that's the first appearance of Rhino." So I was trying to leave all these hints down to what these bioweapons were like genetically spliced with. Well, they fought this thing that was almost kind of like this Rhino, and he didn't use it then. I'm like, all right, he's going to wait, because if you know anything about Resident Evil, you save your rocket launchers, RPGs for the big bad fight. And that's what he did. And so I had to plan for it. And the bad thing is, he shot it and thinking, oh, it's going to kill it. No, it didn't. And he was the first one in initiative. I'm like, man, technically, you're the first person that sees it. And it walked up and shredded him, killed him. First round. Troll play, man. I mean, when you go, and it doesn't kill it, and you're the only thing it sees. I mean, that's fair.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
Oh, absolutely.
To get off
in Resident Evil, you are very fragile in that game.
Yes. But that's the thing about, like we said, don't base your challenge rating out of the books. Base it on what your party is capable of doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
the books, like, look at your players' hit points.
Yes.
Like, ogres are notorious CR2 monster. Any big monster, like large or bigger, is notorious as CR2 because they can one-shot a wizard.
Yes.
Or on a crit, can one-shot anybody.
Yeah, and that
happened when we were doing our one-shot, actually.
Yes.
The snake critted with the 2d8 constrict, and, like, its average damage on a crit was, like, my maximum hit points.
Yeah. And that, when you said that, that's the thing I was about to say. Except for when your party is low level in 5e, for sure.
You have to pay attention to how much damage your monsters can deal. And who they're targeting, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You don't want to favor it too much, but you want to be aware that if this guy hits the wizard, then the wizard's going down.
But here's my thing. If the wizard's there and it's closest, well, first come, first serve.
Well, then the wizard should have moved.
That's
if it's born out of ignorance, then you can't blame the ogre.
Yeah, but that's like how I was talking about with the dragon earlier, One thing to also factor in with your encounters is initiative. Because, in the Ancient War Reborn, once again, you can find it on YouTube, on the Villains of Man page. I had Evan, who had pretty good dex, because he was a bard. The Bearded Wonder had pretty good dex, because she's a rogue. You had pretty good dex because you were building up for this gun. So you're going to be shooting. And we literally had one solid melee guy. So most of the time, you guys got the jump on most things. So, and that plays a factor because if, like I said, Paladin, Wizard, Sorcerer, if they get the jump on something, Fireball, Smite. Man, you're looking at maybe possibly 150 points of damage for the monster who gets up on you.
Yeah.
So, just a couple things to remember.
What I would do with the Ogre, though, the Wizard was right there. The Wizard was not before the Ogre initiative. Have the Ogre pick him up. It will scare the crap out of the player and everyone else at the table.
Yeah, and that's something to remember initiative. You don't always have to hit things.
No.
For instance, Ogre runs in, pushes cart into character, throws the other one just to steal stuff.
Well, I could that was like 2d10 damage on their club or something like that. That could really wear out.
Yeah, Ogre is a very, very steep challenge rating for 2 and 5e.
I love how in 4th edition though there was Ogre minions. There were ogres with 1 hit point.
Yes,
and that's one thing I do like to use. I do like to use a lot of monsters with 1 hit point. But not play them up like that 1 hit point.
Yeah. Well, see, I like to do that too when we play like 30 orcs run at you. Well, man, your orc in like 5e has like 25 hit points, something like that. But
they will take a hit.
I will drop that because I think when you run, sometimes when it's okay to roll low level encounters with high level characters because it makes them feel their power.
Exactly.
And I think as a DM, you should always do that. So who cares if it's 30 goblins and it takes up 30 minutes of your game? Your characters are high level and they're going to love it. Because remember, when they were low level, this is what was happening to them.
Yeah. They will have fun.
Yes.
If they've never encountered goblins before in that situation, they have it in a different game.
And as a DM, you can be creative with that many characters, that many foes on the board.
Just if you really think about it, you're guaranteed at least 1 natural 20 out of 30 rows.
Yeah. And if you use our rule for 20/20 death, well, to cut back, what I'm going to tell you when that house rule is in effect, that actually happened in a game. It's funny I brought up goblins. Because first time I seen it happen, we were level 18. And the guy got hit by a CR. I was like half, 1/4, and 3.5. 20/20 break, killed him. First session. And he quit.
I would too, to be honest.
Yeah, he never touched it again. So. But with that, I'm JVD.
I'm Smiley.
Keep the dice rolling, guys.